Manx. Allison's with us, the chairman of the MUA. I would like to see if we can drill down into what exactly is happening, because obviously we don't have long with Alf Cannon, and this is your baby. I mean, you're in charge. First of all, are you comfortable with the decision that this committee that you brought in, these specialists that came in, are you comfortable with what they are proposing? And then if you could explain in easy language to people roughly what is proposed.
Certainly. I mean, in answer to your question, yes. Treasury commissioned an independent review of our finances. Now, what that means is they've looked at the operation of Manx Utilities, they've looked at the debt we incur, and they've said, is your present plan going to actually repay that debt, which was the whole plan behind Manx Utilities? The answer is yes, it will, but they've highlighted some disparities with the charging structure, and they've also highlighted that to repay that debt at the moment is really going to hit the customer first. So what we're proposing is a new plan to repay that debt that really puts the customer first, really invests in sustainability and also the long-term certainty, and allows us to create a 5-year charging structure so that everyone knows what they're going to be paying for their utilities.
You say putting the customer first. How is it putting them first?
The plan that we've been working under for the last couple of years involved quite significant increases, particularly in terms of sewage charges, which a lot of people found really quite hard to understand and hard to stomach. What we're doing is looking at those charges and saying that amount of increase is wrong. We need to increase at a much slower rate. We need to rebalance the amount that people are charged for water versus sewage.
So it is all still going to go up, isn't it? Everything's on the way up and quite significantly over the years?
What we're not talking about here is price cuts. We're not talking about a giveaway budget. The long-term sustainability of Manx Utilities is paramount. The previous governments have invested large amounts of money in the infrastructure that needs to be paid off. And as chair of Manx Utilities, I'm not going to leave that debt for future generations to have to be born with. But what we need to do is repay that debt in a different way that's sustainable and manageable for people right now.
So where do we notice a difference? I mean, if we didn't touch it, if you hadn't done anything, where would the public, because it's the end user, what would they see difference?
That's a very good point. The brutal reality is over the next couple of years, we would have had to increase sewage charges by 20-30% each year. To meet each year to meet this.
That's phenomenal.
Because over a longer time period, we're looking at perhaps doubling sewage charges to actually pay for a lot of the infrastructure that's being put in to balance the books. What we're now saying is, yes, those prices are going to go up, but by a fraction of that amount. Can
you give an idea between 20 and 30% before, and now it might be what?
We're looking at trying to do it at 10% or less.
Okay, so well above inflation.
They're still increasing charges, but one of the proposals from the NERA review that we're going to be looking at over the next year is to try to rebalance that. So although sewage charges will go up, can we afford to freeze water charges for a couple of years? Can we afford to take the pressure out of the system so that the average consumer sees that their price rises are manageable, that they are going up, but they can afford to actually pay them?
Would you rather kept all the utilities separate? If you were taking the job today, you could just take electricity, or you could just take sewage, water. What do you think?
No, I think merging the electrical authority with the water board and sewage board was the right thing to do when it was done. By bringing all those utilities together, we've got economies of scale, we've been having a lot of cross-coverage of staff, and it's certainly produced a more efficient, more cost-efficient and more efficient service to the consumer. So no, I think merging them was the right thing to do.
Well, we've got all these graphs that you were having in the PowerPoint presentation. And almost without exception, the Isle of Man was off the top of the charts, near as. There was no good news in any of those numbers, were they?
There's a key point here, because a lot of people compare what they're paying here with what they might have been paying in the UK. Water charges have been shown to be certainly higher than in the UK. Sewage charges are a lot less. When you add the total amount of the money that people pay for water and sewage together, it's about right compared with the UK. Our electricity prices are slightly higher, but we're living on a small island in the Irish Sea. We have a very, very resilient electrical system here, which is why some of the internet companies are coming over, the e-gaming companies come over, because the lights aren't going to go out here. And
because we've got a Rolls-Royce system put in all those years ago, right?
We've got a very good system that keeps the lights on, yes. So we've got the gas-fired power station, we've got diesel backup for that if that goes down, and if both of those go down, we've got a cable system to bring that over. But that is essential if we're going to grow a high-tech economy on the island.
And by the time this all gets paid back, there'll be talk of the next power generator.
Absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why we need to pay off this debt. When we get to change and replace the gas-fired power station in 20 years' time, you and I don't know what the technologies are going to be like then. We know there's a big move towards using more electricity, but we also know that there's a big move towards renewables. I very much doubt whether we're going to replace that like for like, and what I'd like to see is a hybrid model of using renewable energy so we can meet the carbon emission targets that we've got to do. But to do that, we've got to invest for the future, and we can't invest for the future if we're still carrying a huge debt in the 2020s.
Did you and your team and Alf Cannon sell it to Tynwald members here today? Was it good? Mood music?
We had a good meeting here. We had a lot of explaining to do. The NERA report that we've been referencing runs into dozens of pages. It's a really quite comprehensive and technical report looking at Manx Utilities and saying, is this a business fit for purpose? And the answer is yes. Again, what I'm really keen on stressing is that unlike lots of other jurisdictions, we've got a company here that's owned by the people. But we've got to deliver to those people, and we've got to get rid of that debt. We've got to continue to invest in the systems on the Isle of Man, but we've got to make sure that the charges for providing that are reasonable and manageable. So
you'll be proposing this to Tynwald. Which sitting are we going for on this one? The next one? No.
By October.
Yeah.
So this motion to agree with the debt reduction is coming on the 17th of October. So that's why we've had the press briefing today, because that's now been released with the NERA report and with Manx Utilities' annual statement.
And if it goes through, that's fine, but if it doesn't, is there a plan B, or do you just carry on as it was?
The plan B is to carry on as it was, unfortunately, and as I've said, the repayment plan to pay off those substantial debts without reducing them in any way possible would I think, involve quite large increases to utility prices, which I don't think are sustainable at the moment.
The average person watching this, and there is that sort of semi with 2 people in it or 3 people, whatever. What roughly do you know, if even with this going through, what do you is a forecast for the increase upon increase upon increase per year? Have you done those sort of maths?
We have, as I said, one of the proposals in the NERA report was to freeze water prices for the next 5 years, to try to rebalance them with sewage as sewage gradually came up with 10% or less increase year on year, and we'll try to keep the electricity prices as low as possible, certainly no higher than inflation.